That's it. You want translation?
Isaiah 56.
I think so.
And gave them within my walls and in my houses a name and a monument that will never be forgotten. So Yad Vashem means a name and a monument, or in other words, a memorial, or a tomb. Remember, name on a stone, it's a tomb, a tombstone. Or that's from Isaiah is speaking about those who keep the God's commandments. All of those who keep, even if they're, for instance, he's talking about the eunuchs. So even eunuchs who think they have no hope of children, I will give them more than children of flesh and blood. You have to read it. Isaiah 56, very nice. So Yad Vashem is taken from here, and it started in just after the independence of the state of Israel, and the Holocaust memory was very was present. Actually, at the time the state of Israel was created, there were still camps with a lot of detainees that were free, but they were nowhere to go. They had nowhere to go. A lot of those who survived the Holocaust were still in concentration camps that were managed by the Allies now. So they get food, they get things, but they were still in prison because they could not return to their homes. The countries where they fled from did not want to take them back. Some would try it. We always have an example, very strong example of Kielce in Poland, where from a community of 25,000 Jews survived only 200. And these 200 returned to Kielce. They were attacked by the population, who killed 47 and wounded all the others. It means in a way, the Nazi were a catalyst. Antisemitism existed. They needed only a little spark to explode. So we can see the success of the massacre of 6 million is not just because some bad Germans, Nazi came and killed all the Jews. No, they went in different countries and had collaboration to massacre the Jews of these countries. And that's why we say usually Nazi and collaborators. And we try to say Nazi and not say Germans again, because there were some Germans who opposed to the policy of that time. There were some Germans who saved human lives. One example has become the story of a movie. It's the story of Schindler. I stopped here because that double tree there is dedicated to Oscar and Emily Schindler. But actually, they could have made a movie on Father Bruno Reinders. I don't know him. I know he's from Belgium. But if he planted a tree here, that means he made something. He risked his life. He risked his life to save Jews or human beings. In a way, all these avenue here is called the Lane of the Righteous, and it's based on testimony of people who were saved, who testified that someone saved them. The person was invited to Israel to plant a tree, a ceremony, and get the title of righteous among the nations. The title is also from the Bible. Righteous among the nations is from Abraham. You know the story of the three messengers of God who come to Abraham, and they tell him God is going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah because their sins are. And he says, but there are a lot of people living there. What if they are 50 righteous among these nations? And God says, if there are 50 righteous, I will not destroy these cities. And Abraham continues. Remember, he tried to see how much he can get more. He's so sad of the death of so many people, and he goes all the way to 10. And God continues, plays a game with him. He say, just show me 10 righteous. I know what I'm doing. You want to argue with me? Argue. Show me the 10 righteous. And there's no 10 righteous. So Abraham ends by saying, at least my cousin and his family. And you remember the story. So righteous, that means righteous is not a holy person. Righteous is someone who has an inner love for human beings. It's something that we have given, that we were given by God at our birth. That is something that you have to keep in mind. It doesn't have any connection with your religion. Remember, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah did not have any religion or had all kinds of divinities. They did not know God. Yet Abraham and God agree that that might be possibly righteous among these people. So it's something very simple. It's something that talks about humanity. If you have humanity in you, it has nothing to do with what you believe, what you are. You just have something that God gave you, the love of humankind. And these people risk their life. The criterion for planting a tree here was that people who actually risk their life to save others. So I can say we can make a movie out of any one of these names that are not known to us. It happened that a movie was made for Oskar Schindler, and there's more visitors. You can see people are going to the tree and putting some stone there. You see there? Even a path has to be created so people don't damage too much, but they still damage it. But you see the idea here. So these trees were planted in memory or sometime by the people who did that. Some were killed, some were deported, some who tried to help were arrested together with the people they were trying to help, and they were killed. Those who were hiding people in their houses and so on. So thanks to them, all of Yad Vashem, all these monuments and memorials are in a forest. All these trees are a message of hope. If the Jewish people could come out of such an ordeal, he could naturally say, we have no trust in the Gentiles. Look what they've done to you. But building a memorial and then covering it with a forest of righteous, say, we still have hope in humankind. So when you go into Yad Vashem and you live with the message of hope. There is hope. These people, and I'm not sure they were risking their life for Jews only. They would have done for any human being. They did not say, oh, if there are Jews, I will risk my life. But if they are not, I will not. No, these are essence of humanity. Somebody's in danger, I will help. Like someone who cannot swim, jumps into the water to help someone.
Can I share? Thank you. What you're going to see is very, very sobering. You're going to have free time. Tito will give you some explanation in terms of entrance and exit, but you're going to have free time to go at your own pace. We're going to give you about an hour, 45 minutes.
They will be closed.
So you could spend a long time here. So what I would encourage you to do as you go through is you can't read everything, it's not possible. It's broken down into time periods and rooms. As you go through the rooms, get a sense of what is going on in that room. And listen, it's about individuals. You're going to see lots of numbers and information, but also make it personal because we're talking about these numbers are people. Get a sense of the storyline as you carry it through, because you won't have time to read everything. So pace yourself as you move through and get a sense of each place and a specific story of what was going on at that time and maybe a particular individual that was impacted during that time. And I just want to share this because I think it's so important and I don't want to take too much time. Why have the Jews been persecuted unlike any other people group on planet Earth throughout human history? Because this is a spiritual conflict, because it goes all the way back to humanity rebelled against God, and a holy, righteous God could not be anything other than holy and righteous in finding a means of redemption for humanity. And he chose sovereignly an individual by the name of Abraham. And he says, through you and through your descendants, I will bless humanity. An ultimate reference through King David and beyond to Jesus Christ. And therefore, Satan's effort has been to either assimilate the Jews into the other pagan nations of the world so that they cease to be an identifiable people group on the earth prior to Christ, or to annihilate them completely. Either assimilate them or to annihilate them from the earth, so that the promised seed through Abraham, that was the covenant promise made, could not be born to bring redemption to you and to the entire world. But that has not ended because Jesus came. We are still living in the times of the Gentiles. Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome during the time of Christ. There were so many attempts through all of those empires. The Persians, Queen Esther and the story of Haman. At the time of the Romans with Jesus and Herod the Great. And the Egyptians wanting to throw the male children into the Nile. These were all satanic attempts by pagan people groups, Gentile world powers, to either assimilate or to annihilate the Jews from the earth so that the promised seed could not be born. This is a total spiritual battle. But it has not ended. We're still living in the times of the Gentiles when there's no divinely appointed Jewish king sitting on the throne of Israel. So why should we think that Satan has stopped his attempt to either annihilate or assimilate the Jews?
He hasn't.
The Holocaust was an attempt in our generation, in some of our grandparents' lifetimes, or parents' lifetimes, to once again either assimilate them so that they cease to become a people group, or to annihilate them from the face of the earth. This was a satanic attempt once again to do it. And why? Because Jesus had already come. Because Jesus is coming again. And if there is no Israel, if there is no identifiable people group called the Jew, then who is Jesus coming back to rule and reign over? From Jerusalem. You have to see it in the total big picture context. And what is amazing about the Holocaust is that God used it in spite of all that Satan threw at them to preserve his people, to keep his covenant promise to them. And out of the ashes of the Holocaust, God completely turned it around and brought his people after almost 2,000 years back into their own homeland in preparation for the king to come. You have to see it in the context. So, yes, you're going to be impacted because the stories are horrific, but it is a triumph because of what God is doing through it and has done through it and will do through it in the days to come. Okay?
Amen. So good.
Okay.
Let me give you the timing because